Confidence doesn't come when you feel ready. It comes when you act while feeling unready. Let that sink in. Most people are waiting. Waiting to feel brave. Waiting to feel motivated. Waiting to feel worthy. And while they wait, years pass. Opportunities pass. Life passes. So here is a serious question. If you do not change now, where will you be in 5 years? Same habits. Same fear. Same excuses. Same small life. That is not an insult. That is a warning. We have been taught that confidence is a feeling. That one day, somehow, we will wake up and feel powerful. But confidence is not an emotion that visits you. It is evidence you build. Confidence equals evidence accumulated through action. Every time you say, I will wake up at 6, and you actually wake up at 6, you build a small piece of evidence. Every time you say, I will speak up, and you speak even with a shaking voice, you build evidence. Your brain starts collecting proof. And that proof becomes belief. Self-trust is not magic. It is memory. When you keep promises to yourself, your brain quietly says, I can trust this person. When you break promises, your brain also remembers. That is why confidence is deeply connected to discipline. Not because discipline looks strong, but because discipline builds trust with yourself. Now let's go a little deeper. When you feel fear, it is not weakness. It is biology. The amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for detecting danger, reacts quickly. It does not know the difference between a real threat and social fear. Speaking in public, asking a question, starting something new. To your amygdala, it can feel like danger. But here is the key. The prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, can choose action. Fear is automatic. Action is intentional. The more you act despite fear, the more your brain learns that the situation is not life-threatening. Neuroscience shows that repeated exposure reduces fear response. When you face something again and again, your brain lowers the alarm. What once felt terrifying becomes normal. This is why confident people are not fearless. They are trained. They train their nervous system through repetition. They exposed themselves to discomfort until discomfort lost its power. And here is a powerful reframe. Confidence is not about being louder. It is not about dominating a room. It is not about being the most charismatic person. True confidence is internal safety. It is the feeling that says, even if I fail, I will be okay. Even if they judge me, I will survive. Even if I make a mistake, I will learn. That is power. When you feel internally safe, you do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to shout. You do not need approval. You move calmly. You speak clearly. You decide deliberately. And notice something important. As you are listening to this, you are already training confidence in another way. You are training focus. You are building vocabulary. You are strengthening emotional language in English. That matters. Confidence in language works the same way. You do not become fluent because you feel fluent. You become fluent because you repeatedly use the language until your brain stops panicking. Action creates familiarity. Familiarity creates safety. Safety creates confidence. So stop asking, how do I feel? Start asking, what action builds evidence? Confidence is not found in motivation videos. It is not found in waiting for the right mood. It is not found in positive thinking alone. Confidence is constructed. One decision. One action. One kept promise at a time. Let's make something clear. Motivation is unstable. It comes and goes. It depends on sleep, mood, weather, stress, and even what you saw on your phone 5 minutes ago. If your confidence depends on motivation, your confidence will always be fragile. You do not need motivation. You need proof. First, understand the self-respect loop. Every time you make a small promise and keep it, your brain updates your identity. Not your mood. Your identity. For example, you decide, tomorrow I will read 5 pages. You wake up and you read those 5 pages. It seems small. But neurologically, something important happens. Your brain stores a memory. I do what I say. That memory becomes self-trust. Identity-based habit theory explains this clearly. We do not act consistently because of goals. We act consistently because of who we believe we are. When you repeatedly keep small promises, you stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. You start saying, I am disciplined. Small promises create identity. Identity creates confidence. Now flip it. When you say you will exercise and you don't, When you say you will study English and you skip it, when you say you will wake up early and you press snooze, your brain also stores that memory. I don't follow through. That memory weakens self-respect. Confidence cannot grow in a person who does not trust themselves. So build proof daily. Not big dramatic proof. Small measurable proof. 3 tasks completed. 10 minutes practiced. 1 uncomfortable action taken. Confidence grows quietly through evidence. Second, competence creates confidence. This is competence psychology. You feel confident when you feel capable. Think about a surgeon before surgery, or a pilot before takeoff. They are calm not because they repeat affirmations. They are calm because they trained for years. Skill reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is what creates fear. Confidence is the byproduct of skill. If you improve your communication, you feel stronger socially. If you improve your English, you feel stronger globally. If you improve your digital literacy, you feel stronger economically. Skill expands your survival range. Your brain senses this and relaxes. That is why building a skill stack is powerful. Do not rely on one ability. Combine skills. Communication plus English. English plus digital tools. Digital tools plus problem solving. Writing plus marketing. Sales plus psychology. The modern world rewards combinations. You do not need to be the best in the world at one thing. You need to be useful in multiple ways. When you know you can adapt, learn, and solve problems, confidence becomes stable. Third, micro-discomfort training. Most people think confidence requires a big heroic moment. It does not. It requires daily exposure to small discomfort. The comfort zone expands through controlled stress. This principle is used in exposure therapy. When someone fears public speaking, they do not start with a stadium. They start with speaking in front of 1 person. Then 3. Then 10. The nervous system adapts gradually. You can apply this daily. If you fear speaking English, record 1 sentence today. If you fear rejection, ask 1 small question. If you fear the gym, walk in for 10 minutes. Micro-discomfort builds resilience. Every time you survive discomfort, your brain updates its threat perception. What was once scary becomes normal. That is how you rewire fear. Now let's address something dangerous. Social media. This is not about hating technology. It is about understanding brain chemistry. Social media creates dopamine spikes. Every scroll, every like, every short video gives a small reward. Your brain starts preferring quick stimulation over slow growth. Over time, your attention span shrinks. Discipline becomes harder. Comparison increases. And comparison silently destroys confidence. You are watching other people's highlight moments while living your ordinary day. Your brain compares your behind-the-scenes life to someone else's edited success. That comparison lowers perceived self-worth. The attention economy is not designed for your confidence. It is designed for your attention. If you do not control your inputs, your mental state will be controlled for you. Set boundaries. Limit time. Follow people who teach, not just entertain. Use your screen as a tool, not an escape. Confidence requires focus. Focus requires attention. And attention must be protected. So let's summarize this clearly. Build proof through small promises kept. Build competence through skill development. Build resilience through micro-discomfort. Protect your mind from comparison overload. You do not need a motivational speech every morning. You need measurable progress. Progress creates evidence. Evidence creates belief. Belief creates confidence. But remember something important. External progress can look impressive. You can gain skills. You can earn money. You can achieve goals. But if your internal world is unstable, all of it can collapse. Which brings us to the next level. External strength must be supported by internal strength. Because external progress collapses without internal stability. External discipline is powerful. Skill is powerful. But if your inner world is chaotic, your confidence will always feel unstable. So now we go deeper. Confidence is not about ignoring your emotions. It is about regulating them. There is a big difference between emotional suppression and emotional regulation. Suppression means you feel fear, anger, insecurity, and you pretend it is not there. You push it down. You say, "I don't care." But your nervous system still cares. The emotion stays inside your body. Regulation is different. Regulation means you feel the emotion, but you manage your response. When something scares you, your amygdala reacts first. This is called an amygdala hijack. It is fast and automatic. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your thoughts become dramatic. I will fail. They will judge me. I can't do this. But here is the important part. There is a gap between reaction and response. If you train yourself to pause for 5 seconds, you interrupt the automatic loop. 5 seconds. Slow inhale. Slow exhale. That small pause gives your prefrontal cortex time to take control. Instead of reacting, you choose. Instead of running, you act calmly. Regulation does not mean fear disappears. It means fear does not control you. Now let's talk about your inner voice. Most people do not lose confidence because of the world. They lose it because of how they speak to themselves. There are 2 loops inside your mind: the negative loop and the coaching loop. The negative loop sounds like this: I'm not good enough. I always mess up. They're better than me. I'll never change. This loop repeats automatically. The brain loves repetition, even if it is destructive. But you can rewire this loop through cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing means changing the interpretation of an event without denying reality. For example, instead of "I failed, so I'm useless," you say, "I failed, so I learned something." Instead of "They judged me," you say, "Maybe they were focused on themselves." Instead of "I'm bad at English," you say, "I'm in training." This is not fake positivity. It is accurate thinking. The brain believes what you repeat. If you repeat weakness, you feel weak. If you repeat growth, you feel capable. Imagine talking to yourself the way a strong coach would. Firm but supportive. Honest but encouraging. When you make a mistake, the coaching loop says, "Good. Now improve." When you feel nervous, it says, "This means you care. Breathe and continue." Confidence grows when your inner voice becomes your ally, not your enemy. Now let's bring the body into this conversation. Your physiology influences your psychology more than you think. There is a body-brain feedback loop. The way you stand, breathe, and move sends signals to your nervous system. If you slouch, look down, breathe shallow, and move quickly, your body signals threat. Your brain interprets that posture as insecurity. But when you stand upright, relax your shoulders, lift your head, and breathe slowly, your body signals safety. Breath is especially powerful. Slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system. This calms the stress response. Even 2 minutes of controlled breathing can lower anxiety. Confidence is not only mental. It is physical. Posture, eye contact, calm movement. These are not fake performances. They are tools to regulate your internal state. Now we must address perfectionism. Perfectionism looks like high standards, but often it hides fear. You delay action because you want it to be perfect. You do not speak because your English is not flawless. You do not start because your plan is not complete. But progress is more powerful than perfection. Research on growth mindset, popularized by Carol Dweck, shows that people who believe abilities can be developed through effort improve more consistently than those who believe talent is fixed. When you see mistakes as part of growth, your brain stays open. When you see mistakes as proof of failure, your brain becomes defensive. Perfectionism creates pressure. Pressure creates paralysis. Progress creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Allow yourself to be in progress. Speak imperfectly. Try imperfectly. Learn imperfectly. That is how mastery forms. Confidence is not built by avoiding mistakes. It is built by surviving them. So here is the deeper truth. External habits build structure. Internal regulation builds stability. When you can manage your emotions, guide your inner voice, control your physiology, and release perfectionism, your confidence stops being fragile. It becomes steady. It becomes calm. It becomes real. But even a strong inner world can be influenced by your environment. The people around you, the energy you absorb, the boundaries you set. And that is where we go next. Because your environment also shapes your confidence. You can build discipline. You can regulate your emotions. You can improve your skills. But if your environment constantly pulls you down, your confidence will leak. Confidence is not only internal. It is relational. Let's start with social contagion theory. Research in social psychology shows that behaviors, emotions, and even attitudes spread through networks. Motivation spreads. Laziness spreads. Cynicism spreads. Ambition spreads. You slowly become the average of the people you spend the most time with. If your circle complains every day, you will start complaining. If your circle laughs at growth, you will start shrinking your dreams. If your circle avoids responsibility, you will normalize mediocrity. But if your circle talks about books, ideas, fitness, language learning, goals, business, emotional maturity, your brain adapts upward. Standards rise quietly. You don't need many friends. You need aligned energy. Confidence is easier when your environment supports growth instead of mocking it. Now let's talk about boundaries. One of the fastest ways to lose confidence is to tolerate disrespect and pretend it doesn't matter. Someone makes a joke about your accent, your body, your goals, your ambition, and you laugh along. But inside, something tightens. Every time you laugh at something that hurts you, you teach people how to treat you. More importantly, you teach yourself that your feelings are not important. Boundary skill is not aggression. It is calm clarity. If someone crosses a line, you don't need to shout. You don't need drama. You can simply say, "I didn't find that funny." Or you can stay silent and hold eye contact. Calm assertiveness is powerful. Boundaries signal self-worth. And here's something subtle. When you set boundaries calmly, your nervous system stays regulated. You are not reacting emotionally. You are responding deliberately. That is social power. Confidence is protected by boundaries. Now another trap. Trying to prove yourself. Many people act confident, but they are actually performing. They speak louder than necessary. They show off achievements constantly. They over-explain. They argue to win. Why? Status anxiety. Status anxiety is the fear of being seen as less intelligent, less attractive, less successful. So people compensate by performing value instead of embodying it. But real confidence does not need performance. Think about someone truly secure. They don't interrupt constantly. They don't need to win every debate. They don't brag about every success. They move quietly. Silent confidence is calm presence without validation hunger. When you stop trying to prove yourself, your energy changes. You speak when necessary. You don't chase approval. You don't explain your entire life to people who didn't ask. You let your actions speak. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to impress, people respect you more. Now let's go deeper into mindset. Choose power over pity. Victim mindset is seductive. It gives comfort. It says, "It's not my fault. Life is unfair. People are against me." Sometimes those statements are partially true. Life can be unfair. But staying in victim mode gives away your power. Responsibility mindset sounds different. It says, "This happened. Now what can I control?" It does not deny pain. It does not ignore injustice. But it focuses on agency. In psychology, this relates to locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe they can influence outcomes. People with an external locus believe life just happens to them. Confidence grows in internal control. Rewriting your growth narrative means this. Instead of repeating your painful story, you reinterpret it as training. Not, "I was rejected, so I'm worthless." But, "I was rejected, so I'm refining." Not, "I grew up with less." But, "I learned resilience early." Your past does not disappear, but your interpretation shapes your future. And here is the balanced truth. You do not need to hate your past. You do not need to fight everyone. You simply need to decide that your story moves forward. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention stays on what hurt you, your confidence shrinks. If your attention moves toward what you can build, your confidence expands. So protect your circle. Set boundaries. Stop performing. Choose responsibility. Confidence is not loud. It is stable. Confidence is not ego. It is self-respect. Confidence is not aggression. It is clarity. And remember this line clearly. Confidence is protected by boundaries. You protect your time. You protect your attention. You protect your energy. And in doing so, you protect your growth. You have strengthened your actions. You have stabilized your emotions. You have cleaned your environment. Now comes the final shift. Because confidence is not only about behavior. It is about identity. Now we arrive at the final shift. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you decide to practice. So the real transformation is not, "I want to be confident." The real transformation is, "I act like a disciplined person daily." Identity first. Emotion second. When you change identity, behavior follows. When you change behavior consistently, confidence becomes inevitable. So here is your 30-day confidence reset. Simple, practical, real. Every day for the next 30 days, do 5 things. First, complete 3 small daily goals. Not 10, not 20. 3. Finish them no matter what. Build proof. Second, take 1 discomfort action. Speak up once. Say no once. Post something. Ask a question. Do 1 thing that slightly scares you. Train your nervous system. Third, practice 1 skill for 10 minutes. English, communication, digital skills, fitness, writing. Skill builds competence. Competence builds confidence. Fourth, spend 2 minutes in self-reflection. Ask, what did I do well today? Where did I avoid growth? What will I improve tomorrow? Self-awareness protects progress. Fifth, take 1 English-speaking action. Record 1 sentence. Shadow for 2 minutes. Have a short conversation. Confidence in language strengthens overall confidence. That is your system. And here is the rule: no 0 growth days. Even if it is small. Even if it is imperfect. Even if you are tired. Move forward. Because identity is built through repetition. After 30 days, you will not magically become a different person overnight. But you will feel something powerful. More stable. More self-trusting. More grounded. Because you built evidence. If this message speaks to you, choose growth over comfort. Like if you choose growth over comfort. Subscribe to Inspire English Stories if you want structured growth and powerful English training. Comment: I build myself daily. Remember this: confidence is built quietly before it is seen publicly.